Well, we're getting ready for a new Detroit pitcher and a new catcher here in the top of the seventh inning. The new catcher will undoubtedly be Paul Richards. The new pitcher we haven't located as yet, and while we're about our job of doing that, suppose we pause 10 seconds here for station identification. Remember, men, look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp. Use Gillette Blue Blades with the sharpest edges ever honed. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Chicago, serving the Middle West.
The new pitcher's going to be Al Benton, I believe. It looks exactly like Benton. He's walking in from that bullpen out there 440 feet away. He relieved in the third inning of the first game, you know, when Hal Newhouser ran into trouble. And Big Al is walking in there with that unmistakable stride of his. Benton, a Navy discharger, you know, is a sturdy fellow from down in Oklahoma. Benton, as we've often remarked, was handicapped considerably this year after getting off to a magnificent start following his return from Navy service, when he was hit by a hard batted ball off the bat of Rudy Estrella of the Philadelphia Athletics. Broke his leg, and Benton was laid up for quite a while, and even then came back to do some mighty fancy pitching for the Detroit Tigers. He has a queer assortment of pitches. Not too much fast stuff, but a lot of cagey stuff that he's picked up in his experience. I was talking to Georgie Sternweiss of the New York Yankees the other day about the stuff that Benton has. We were discussing it in connection with the fact that Benton, toward the tail end of the season, was unable to last in 12 straight ball games. And Sternweiss told me that that was probably a combination of bad luck because he had batted, of course, against Benton many times, and he thought Benton had very superior and very good stuff. So that's Al Benton, who is coming in here in the top of the seventh inning after Stubby Overmeyer was lifted for a pinch hitter in the last half of the sixth. And his catcher is going to be Paul Richards, of course. Bob Swift, as we told you earlier in the broadcast, usually catches Stubby Overmeyer. So when a pinch runner was put on for Swift back there in the last half of the sixth inning, Ed Bourne went out to run for Swift. Why, that was the tip-off, the fact that very likely Overmeyer was not coming to bat, and there would be a new pitcher and catcher, a complete new battery for Detroit here in the top of the seventh inning, and that's just what we have. Benton was born at Noble, Oklahoma, and he's 32 years old. He's a big guy, stands 6'4", weighs around 215 pounds. He's married, and his wife's name is Monetta, which is a darn nice name. Benton has hard gray eyes and blonde hair. He's Irish. All right, the big fella Al Benton is ready to go now, and the first batter to face him is Thompson Livingston from Newberry, South Carolina. Mickey bats right-handed, swings on the first, and there's a high foul up off the first base. Over goes York, but I don't think he can come up to it, and it falls right into the hand of a spectator just at the edge of the railing there. Nice catch, mister. Sign him up. That's a strike on Mickey Livingston. Probably no one in this whole stadium this afternoon is any happier than Mickey's 10-year-old son, Don, who came here to the series to see his father play in Major League Baseball for the first time, which is pretty good going. One strike is the count on Papa Mickey. Now it's ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Big Al Benton coming into pitch. Top of the seventh. Chicago in front, 2-0. Livingston swings on one. There's a fly ball going out to deep right field. Back goes Cullenbine, way back, way back. He can't come up to it. It bounces off the wall there. Here's Livingston heading for second. There's the relay in to Mayo from Cullenbine, and Livingston goes into second, standing up with a double. That's a double for Mickey Livingston. He hit it back over the head of Roy Cullenbine in deep right center field. It bounced off the railing out there. Cullenbine grabbed the ball, heaved it into Eddie Mayo, who was lined up for the relay, but by that time Livingston was at second. That is hit number 5 this afternoon for the Chicago Cubs. And the first man up in the seventh inning is in potential scoring position at second. Now the batter is Roy Hughes, who came through with his first hit of the series back in the fourth inning to drive in a run. He bats right-handed, chokes up as if to bunt, but the pitch is outside. And the count is ball 1. Now Big Al Benton, the sturdy guy from Oklahoma, gets ready. The infield of the Tigers is up, of course, anticipating a sacrifice. But the pitch is low and inside. Hughes has to back away from it. Ball 2. So the Cubs are brewing a threat here in the top of the seventh. They lead 2-0. Benton stretches, delivers. Hughes attempts to bunt, and it rolls foul on the ground behind the plate. Paul Richards, the tall Texan, picks it up, flips it to the plate umpire, Art Passarella, who examines it, holding it up in front of his face, turning it over and over, you know. like the housewife inspecting an orange before she buys it. He says it's all right, and it's put back in play. Mickey Livingston is leading off second. Here's a pitch to Hughes. It's low and outside. Had his bat set as if to bunt, but when he saw the pitch wasn't good, pulled it back. 3 balls, 1 strike now the count. Benton works. There's the bunt. It's going down toward third. It's fielded by Outlaw. The play will have to be over at first where Mayo is covering. And the runner, Thompson Livingston, is advanced to third on the sacrifice. Hughes is out, 5-4. Third baseman to second baseman. And now a brief conference is going to be called here as the batter becomes Claude Passeau, the pitcher. There's a runner at third. Paul Richards goes out to the mound, says a few words to Big Al Benton, and Big Rudy York comes over and joins in. The 3 pretty good-sized gentlemen down there. So here's the situation in the top of the 7th inning. Livingston doubled. He was advanced to third on Roy Hughes' sacrifice. And now Passeau, who has struck out twice, steps up there. He's the Cubs pitcher with a big number 13 on his back. He doesn't figure that's unlucky. Pitch to him is swung on. There's a fly ball going out into center field. It's not too deep. Doc Kramer has it. Here's Livingston touching up at third. Here comes Kramer's throw. He's got a good arm. It's going to be close, but he scores. So Passeau did exactly what was expected of him. He lifted a high fly ball into center field. Thompson Livingston held on at third until the ball was caught by Doc Kramer in center field, and he beat Kramer's throw and didn't even have to slide. So that is run number 3 for Chicago, and the Cubs lead now 3-0. 2 out in the top of the 7th inning, and the batter is Stan Hack. Hack has been hitless in 3 previous times up. Takes a fast call strike above the knees over the outside corner. Now Benton works. Hack swings, misses. Strike 2 on Stanley. This Hack, you know, can pilot his own airplane. Does a lot of other things, too. He's really a considerable fella. Swings on that one. That's a foul coming up toward the press stand. No balls, 2 strikes. The count on Stanley Camfield Hack of California. 2 out, nobody on. 1 run in the top of the 7th. Benton pitches, Hack swings on it, slaps it down the left field line, and it is good. Hack is rounding at first, heading in for second. Here comes Greenberg's throw in, and the throw comes into the third baseman, and it's a double for Stanley Camfield Hack. That's Hack's 2nd double of the series. And it is his 5th hit. That's Chicago's 3rd double today. 1 by Livingston, 1 by Lowry, and now 1 by Hack with 2 out in the top of the 7th. Livingston and Hack have both had hits off Benton, and they've both been doubles. That was a ball lashed between the third baseman, Outlaw, and the bag right down the left field line. Now the batter is Don Johnson, the second baseman, who hits right-handed. Swings and misses one. There's a strike on Johnson. This is Johnson's 4th time up today. He hasn't hit. He didn't hit yesterday either. First game he went 2 for 5. Johnson takes it low and inside, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike on Don Johnson. He's a pretty good second baseman. Johnson takes a low pitch, ball 2. Smiling Stanley Hack is leading off second. At 36, he is a honey. Ball is swung on, and it's hit deep to Mayo. Mayo bobbles it for a minute, picks it up, and the throw to first is too late. It was hit to the right of Mayo and deep at second base. Mayo came up with it. It bobbled away from him. He grabbed it. It's an error on Mayo. And incidentally, it's the first error of the series. Hack stopped at third on the play. So that's an error on Eddie Mayo. Puts Don Johnson on at first, moves Hack down to third, and brings up Peanuts Lowry, who has had 2 hits out of 3 times up today, and one of them was a double. And the Lord Peanuts, who bats right-handed, dark complexioned fellow, has been a tough cookie this afternoon. Pitch to him is good for a called strike. Passarella's hand shot up in the air and down like a snake. Roy Johnson at first there. The coacher, who is no relation to Don Johnson, the second baseman who's leading off first, shouts into Lowry. There's a throw over to first. Don Johnson gets back. Hack at third, Johnson at first. One run is in. In the top of the seventh, the Cubs are ahead 3-0. Two are out. Benton stretches, delivers. Lowry leans away from it. It's a ball. On the inside in the vicinity of his Adam's apple. Speaking of Adam's apples, Paul Richards, the catcher down there, has a very prominent one. Lowry swings on one, hits it right back to the mound. Benton knocks it down, throws over to first to York, and that retires the side. So in the top of the seventh inning, one run for Chicago on two hits. They had two base runners left on, and there was one Detroit error. As we head for the last half of the seventh inning, the score is Chicago 3, Detroit nothing. Now right here beside me is manager Luke Sewell of the St. Louis Brownies, famous for his ability to get the most out of young pitchers. Tell us, Luke Sewell, how do you do it?
Guess it's because I was a catcher for so many years, Bill. You know, when a good catcher and pitcher team up, each contributes to the other's success.
Like the Gillette Razor and Gillette Blue Blade do, Luke?
You said it, Bill, for those two are made for each other, so they work together perfectly, yes, and turn in the swellest performance in the shaving league.
Well, thanks a lot, Luke Sewell. And remember, fans, for the slickest shaves of your life, the quickest and easiest a man can have, always use today's Gillette Blue Blade in your Gillette Razor. Protect your face from the irritation caused by misfit blades and faulty shaving methods. Look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp. Use Gillette Blue Blades with the sharpest edges ever honed. Here are the totals up to this point. 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors for Chicago. No runs, only 1 hit for Detroit and 1 error. And now we move into the home half of the 7th inning. And the first batter up there for Detroit, and anxious to atone for his error, although it cost no runs, is Eddie Mayo. And this will be Eddie's 3rd time up this afternoon. The last time he was robbed by Phil Cavaretto on a sensational stop of a hard-hit ball at first. Mayo bats left-handed. And Claude Cassot, who has pitched a very fancy one-hitter up to this point, is rubbing his hands on his breeches and getting ready to go. Now he jiggles that ball up and down in his glove. Here comes the pitch to Mayo. Mayo takes it. It's a fast called strike, a curveball above the knees on the inside corner. This chap Mayo is of Polish ancestry. He's a very swell guy. Claude Passot delivers. It's another called strike. Oh, Passot was very fast with that one. No balls, 2 strikes on Eddie Mayo. Now big Claude bends over, winds up, delivers. Mayo swings on it. There's a ground ball going down to shortstop. Roy Hughes has it. The throw over in time by 2 strides. Mayo is out, shortstop to first. 1 away for Detroit now in the last of the 7th. The next batter is going to be Roger Kramer. He's a left-handed hitter. This is his 3rd time up, and he hasn't hit today. Flied out to center his first time and lined one out to left. His last appearance back in the 4th inning. Kramer bats left-handed, as you all know. Hack plays him up pretty close at 3rd. There's a called strike flipped in on Kramer by Passot. Outfield plays Kramer, despite the fact he's a left-handed hitter, straight away. They don't play him to pull too much to right, a little. Kramer swings, foul tips it, strike 2. Boy, he was swinging hard that time. This guy Kramer started out in his life to be a carpenter, but he decided to work with this kind of wood that he's holding in his hand right now and to drive out hits instead of driving nails. 2 strikes on Kramer. Claude Passot pitches. Kramer takes it. It's just outside. Two strikes on him. Now Kramer, a little bit tired of waiting for Passot, backs out of the batter's box, rubs up some dirt on his hands, takes a hefty grip on that white bat. It's almost white, light yellow. Steps in. Passot is ready to go. He's having a lot of trouble rubbing up this ball. He pitches. Kramer fouls it off. Very quiet in Briggs Stadium right now. Tigers are behind. The Cubs lead them 3-0. It's the home half of the 7th inning. El Paso works. Kramer takes it low into the dirt. Paso taking more and more time as the game wears on. He has a very fancy one-hitter in the fire. He's working on it. The ball is swung on by Kramer. There's a long fly to deep right field. Back goes Nicholson about 5 feet in front of the barrier out there. He makes the catch. Kramer lifted a long high one to deep right field, and Nicholson dragged it in. That's 2 out. Here comes Hank Greenberg. Greenberg, whose homer won the ball game yesterday. Stepping up there, a big right-handed batter. There was no happier man around yesterday than Hank's father from New York, a retired businessman who was out here to watch his boy perform. Greenberg yesterday, in hitting that home run, established for him a record of having hit a homer in 4 different World Series. Yesterday's he hit off of Hank Wise. Earlier he had hit one off of Dizzy Dean, Charlie Root, and Dean Thompson, Junior Thompson of Cincinnati. First pitch now by Paso to Greenberg is high for a ball. 1-0, 2 out, nobody on. Paso has been pitching Greenberg very cagily. Struck him out the first time, compelled him to hit a fly to left the second time up. Here it comes. Greenberg swings, misses. That was a fast-breaking high outside curve. 1 ball, 1 strike. We look almost straight down on the home plate here. We're up practically as high as those pigeons that have been flying around here all afternoon. Here's the pitch. Greenberg swings on it. There's a tremendous high fly, not too long, going in left field. Lowry is in under it. A very high fly that Lowry now takes for the out. And that's all for Detroit in the last half of the 7th inning. At the end of 7 full innings of play, the score is Chicago 3, Detroit nothing. You know, friends, you'll enjoy hearing Bill Corum summarize today's game just as soon as the last man is out. So stay tuned for Bill Corum's summary and highlights at the conclusion of our play-by-play report of this thrilling 3rd game of the 1945 World Series. Now, while we're getting ready for the stage to be set for inning number 8, let's see who and where we are. We pause now 10 seconds for station identification. Remember, men, look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp. Use Gillette Blue Blades with the sharpest edges ever honed. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Chicago, serving the Middle West.
The first batter for the leading Chicago Cubs as inning number 8 gets underway is going to be Captain Phil Cavarretta. Phil hasn't hit today. As a matter of fact, he's officially only been up once. He was walked in the 1st inning and then forced at second for the 3rd out. He sacrificed in the 4th inning, and in the 6th inning, he was out on a ground ball hit down to his opposing first baseman, Rudy York. Phil, up until today, had gone 4 for 8, has a homer and a double in his hits. Now Benton pitches him. It's a curveball inside for ball 1. Phil Cavarretta, old Philly Buck, as Charlie Grimm calls him. Big Al works. It's low into the dirt. Bounces away from Paul Richards. Ball 2. Two and 0. With the crowd all sitting here very intent on this struggle. It's a close one. Ball is swung on and hit out into right field. It's a clean single for Cavarretta. He takes a sharp turn at left, but the ball is fielded very quickly by Cullenbine, and Cavarretta holds on at first with a single. That off Benton is hit number 3. Hit number 7 in the ball game for the Cubs. So Cavarretta starts it off in the top of the 8th with a clean single to right field. Now the batter is Andy Pafko, who didn't hit yesterday and hasn't hit so far today, though he was a ball of fire the first day. Chokes up as if to bunt, but the pitch is inside. Ball 1. Of course, that Tiger infield was galvanized into action. Outlaw and York charging toward the plate. And apparently Pafko does have his orders to sacrifice. He's a right-handed batter. Right-hander Al Benton pitches him. The ball is back toward the mound. Benton fields it. The throw is going to be at first where York is covering, and the sacrifice works. So Pafko sacrifices. Pitcher to first baseman, moving Cavarretta down to second. Now here is Bad Bill Nicholson. And he's got that great big chaw of tobacco stowed away in his jowl there, just as he usually does. And there's that wide stance and that chin stuck out at the pitcher. And that menacing attitude as he swishes his bat back and forth across the plate. Pitch to him is good, a fast one on the inside corner. Benton's got a lot of speed. At least he had it on that pitch. The next pitch is swung on. It's foul right outside of first base. Roy Johnson, the Cub coacher there, tries to field it, and he can't. That's 2 strikes now on Bill Nicholson. Bill leads everybody in the series in runs driven in. He's batted in 5 of them. Big Al Benton is taking a lot of time out there. He's got 2 strikes on Nicholson with the runner at second. Nicholson swings and foul tips it. Bounced off the mask of the catcher, Paul Richards. Now Jimmy Shalikas, the Chicago bat boy, comes out to give the rosin bag to Nicholson. The Detroit bat boy, little Gilbert Hoy, is going down on the train tonight to Chicago. That's where the series is resumed tomorrow. And what these teams are fighting for is for the opportunity of going out of here with a 2-1 edge. Right now, Chicago leads 3-0. Now Benton is ready. Here's the pitch to Nicholson. It's a little too low. Nicholson almost started for it, then checked his swing just in time. Bill Cavaretta backing off second with a big 44 on his back. Here's the pitch. It's low again. Ball 2. Low and inside. Benton is trying to get that 3rd strike past bad Bill Nicholson. Now the mist grows a little heavier. It's pretty wet. The pitch is just outside. Benton was trying for the outside corner. He just missed it. And that raises the count to 3 balls, 2 strikes, a full count on Nicholson. And now here's the big pitch. Benton stretches, delivers, Nicholson swings and strikes out. 2 out. Top of the 8th. The batter coming up now is Mickey Livingston, the catcher. Mickey was in the Army, but because of an injury suffered in baseball back in 1939 when he ran into a concrete dugout at night trying to catch a foul ball, he was discharged from the Army because of that head injury. That's right-handed, swings on one now. There's a high pop-up back of shortstop. Back on the grass goes Skeeter Webb about 25 yards back and backing away, makes the catch. So Livingston flies out to the shortstop, and that's all for Chicago in the top of the 8th inning. No runs, 1 hit, a base runner left on, and there were no Detroit errors. So the score at the end of 7.5 innings of play is Chicago 3, Detroit nothing. Fans, you enjoy the best-looking shaves of your life, the quickest and the easiest a man ever had, when you use today's Gillette Blue Blade in your Gillette razor. As manager Luke Sewell of the St. Louis Browns pointed out, teamwork counts for plenty in shaving, just as it does in baseball. To score against tough beard quickly and smoothly, your razor and blade must work together perfectly, as the Gillette combination does. Men, the Gillette razor and Gillette Blue Blade are made for each other. Same factory, same skilled craftsmen, same high precision standards. Thus, they fit exactly, they work hand in glove, and outperform any other double-edged shaving combination that you can name. Man, what shaves you get. How quick, how easy, and how smooth and refreshing. Avoid the discomfort of misfit blades that scrape and nick your face. Remember, look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp. Use Gillette Blue Blades with the sharpest edges ever honed. All right, the last half of the 8th inning. And this is next to the last chance that Detroit will have if this game is settled in regulation length. And they trail. The Cubs are out in front, 3-0. And Claude Passot, the old master, who has pitched for years in the majors and has never had an opportunity to pitch in a World Series before today, is out there on the mound, and he's pitched a one-hitter up to this point. And he has memories of Briggs Stadium. He pitched an all-star game in here in which Ted Williams beat him by slugging a ball so far that they're still looking for it. Now here's Cullenbine up there, and that's just how far he'd like to hit one. But it won't be that one because he swings and foul tips it off. That's a strike on Cullenbine. And Cullenbine, a pretty consistent hitter for the Tigers throughout the season, is hitless so far in the series. He is 0 for 7. That's left-handed. Pitch to him is outside. A 3/4 speed ball that Passot tried to have nick the outside corner and fool Cullenbine, but it didn't. 1 ball, 1 strike on Roy. Outfield plays him to pull just a little to right, not too much. Pafko has pulled over a bit. Paso works. Cullenbine takes it high. Ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike. This Paso, as Bill Corum told you, has a tongue nut farm down in Mississippi. Must be about time to harvest now, as a matter of fact. He hopes to get back there soon and attend to his tongue nuts. 2-1 the count on Cullenbine. Now it's 2-2. That was a fast call strike. Paso's pacing of the situation today has been masterful. You give him a little bit of 3/4 speed stuff, a little bit of that, then he'll come whipping through with that fast one as he did then. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Cullenbine. Here it comes. Cullenbine swings, fouls it off. Bounces over almost toward the box of Happy Chandler, who's sitting down there with the wounded veterans, who are his guests today. 2-2 the count on Cullenbine. A new ball's put in play. Paso is rubbing it up pretty carefully. Cullenbine's been around a lot, as we've told you. Brooklyn, Washington, the Brownies, the Indians, the Senators. There's a high foul that Cullenbine lifts up and back. The count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bounces off the roof of the press stand. Cullenbine is the first man up for Detroit in the last half of the 8th, and the Tigers are embattled. 2-2 on Cullenbine, batting from that wide stance of his. Now Paso is ready. Here it comes. Just outside. Ball 3. Now it's a full count on the first batter in the last of the 8th. And hope rises as the chant comes up from the packed stands here at Misty Briggs Stadium this afternoon. Paso working slower and slower. Comes through at the 3-2 pitch. It's swung on by Cullenbine. There's a high towering fly ball back of second base. In comes the right fielder, Nicholson, and he takes it in short right field. So Cullenbine flies out on the 3-2 pitch, and there's 1 away for Detroit in the last of the 8th. Now the next batter is old Kickapoo, Rudy York. Rudy's always been known as a slugger. As a matter of fact, yesterday he hit the longest ball that's been hit in the series so far. A 410-foot clout out there to deep center field, and Pafko climbed up on the railing out there and stuck up one hand and robbed him. York swings on that one. It's a high foul coming back toward the press stand. Strike 1. Because York has been so handy with the bat, they've had quite a time finding a spot for him. Used to be a catcher, then they moved him to the outfield. They tried him a bit at third, but now this is his 6th season at first base. That's right-handed. Lets that one go. It's outside. Ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike on Big Rudy. The reason, as all you baseball fans know, they were so reluctant to put York over at first was because Hank Greenberg, playing in the outfield now, is by trade a first baseman. I should suppose that by trade now, Greenberg is an outfielder, because he's been there quite a bit. York is ready, swings on that one. There's a long hit ball to deep center field. Over goes Pafko. I think he's going to get it, and he does, going into right center field for it. Nicholson was over there, too. And now York, who is all the way around almost to second, turns and takes a look out there at Pafko. Pafko didn't rob him necessarily that time. A lot of center fielders could have gotten that one. But not very many center fielders could have gotten the one that Pafko took away from York yesterday. 2 out for the Tigers in the last of the 8th. Now the batter is Jimmy Outlaw. This is his 3rd time up. He hasn't hit today. The pitch to him is high for a ball. Outlaw stands midway in the batter's box. He's a little fella. He's an outfielder who's been playing at third base. He just plays. He'll play anywhere for you. Pitch to him is good. A fast curveball, licks the outside corner, midway between the waist and knees. 1 ball, 1 strike on Outlaw. Little Jimmy is very popular with everyone everywhere. Very mild-mannered. Paso works. It's swung on by Outlaw. There's a high pop-up over the infield. Stanley Hack is drifting over near the mound. He's under it, and he's got it. So Outlaw retires aside by popping out to the third baseman. And in the last half of the 8th inning, nothing across for Detroit. And at the end of 8 full innings of play, the score is 3-0. And here Here is the Bucks total so far. 3 runs for Chicago on 7 hits, no errors. No runs for Detroit. They've had only 1 hit off Claude Passeau, and they have committed 1 error. So that's how she all wraps up at the end of 8 innings of play. And we move into the top of the 9th inning. You know, if you've never heard Bill Corum summarize a World Series game, well, be sure to stay tuned for his summary and highlights today. Bill Corum reviews the game as he sees it from the press stand immediately following our play-by-play report. So stay tuned in for Bill Corum of Missouri. All right, here is inning number 9. Al Benton is out on the mound there. And the big thing in the mind of the Tigers right now as we go into inning number 9 with the Cubs in front 3-0 in this the rubber game of the first 3 is to get these Cubs out as quickly as possible and come in there in the last half of the 9th inning and see what can be done in behalf of the Tiger cause. The attendance figures given me here are 55,500. If they've been officially checked, that would be the largest crowd in history in Briggs Stadium, I think. If it's paid. If it's paid, I think that's probably total. But anyway, it'll give you the idea, ladies and gentlemen, that it's a honey of a crowd here at Briggs Stadium today because this is a honey of a series. Now here's Roy Hughes up. He bunts one back toward the mound. Benton fields it. The throw over to first is in time. Rudy York making a nice catch on it. They were trying to take a little advantage then of the fact that Al Benton is somewhat slowed down on his feet by that leg fracture earlier in the season. But he came down to his right and fielded that. Here's a big hand for Claude Passeau. And this, my friends, is a Detroit crowd, but they know that Passeau, who has pitched a 1-hitter up to this point, is a grand old pitching veteran, and they gave him his just desserts. I was talking a second ago about Benton fielding that ball. This Passeau is a tremendous fielding pitcher. There's a called strike to him. Passeau hasn't distinguished himself at bat today, although he did drive in a run back in the 7th inning when he lifted a fly. The other 2 times he struck out. There is strike 2. Another fast one that Benton fogged in there. 1 out for Chicago now in the top of the 9th. Passeau takes that pitch inside. Ball 1. 1-2 on Big Claude from Mississippi. If he can clinch this one, this will be the highlight of his baseball career, make no doubt of that. The pitch is outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes now on Passeau. Benton, after pitching 2 in there that were strikes on Passeau, is getting a little careful. Here it comes. Passeau swings, misses. That's the 3rd time he struck out today. But as I've been saying, his job is to pitch, and he's been doing that magnificently. Now there's 2 out for Chicago in the top of the 9th. And here is Stanley Hack. Hack has a double in 4 times up. He's had 2 doubles so far in the series and 4 hits out of 13 times up. There's a fast call strike that Al Benton whips in on him. It was a good one just above the knees. Hack, a left-handed batter. Swings on that one. It's a ground foul outside of first base. The old Hard Rock, Roy Johnson, fields it and whips it over to Kickapoo Rudy York. 2 strikes on Hack. 2 out, nobody on. Benton wanting to close out the Chicago business as quickly as he can. He delivers to Hack. Hack takes it high. That's a ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch is swung on. It's bounced off the plate. There's a high Baltimore chop. Benton gets it, throws to first, but it's too late. And Hack gets another infield hit. That's the 4th infield hit that Hack has gotten in this series. A high Baltimore chop off the plate. And Benton had nothing in the world that he could do except stand there and wait for gravity to take its course and bring that ball down out of the air, and it didn't do it soon enough. And Hack is on. So he's at first with 2 out, and up comes Don Johnson. This is Johnson's 5th time up this afternoon. He hasn't hit. And he didn't hit yesterday either. Benton pitches him high and outside for ball 1. Outfield plays Johnson straight away. Not too deep. Here it comes. Johnson takes a good, fast called strike. Curved over there. Just about waist high. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's the ball swung on. Hack is trying for second. He slides in and he's out. The throw was down to Skeeter Webb. And after Webb had him out. He bobbled the ball. And the out signal was changed to the safe signal. And Hack is on. And it's an error on the shortstop. The second Tiger error of the ball game and the second error of the series. So Hack is on at second on Skeeter Webb's error. He had him out. Then he bobbled the ball and dropped it. Here's Johnson swinging on one and striking out. So that's all there is to the top of the ninth inning. No runs for Chicago, one hit, one base runner left on, and one Detroit error. And as the Tigers get ready to come to bat, the score is Chicago 3, Detroit nothing. Now let's see what Detroit will be doing in this last half of the night. We absolutely can't tell you what batters will be up there because the catcher, Paul Richards, and the pitcher are scheduled to come up, and we may have pinch hitters for both of them, although Richards is a pretty good hitter himself. And as to whether the Tigers can come from behind here in the last half of the ninth and win the ball game, there's nothing to do except wait and see. But it is interesting to point to the fact that during the regular season, 7 times the Tigers did come from behind to win in the ninth inning. Chicago did that only twice. And I believe Paul Richards is going to come up to hit. Right, Al? Yep. Richards, tall, dark-haired fellow from Waxahachie, Texas. As I have said, he's the Texas Ranger type. Big, good-looking, 37-year-old veteran who's been around a long time. Is getting ready to step up there. And as he does, the box totals for the ball game stand this way. 3 runs for Chicago, 8 hits, no errors. For Detroit, no runs, only 1 hit off of Claude Passeau, who's down there warming up right now. And the Tigers have committed 2 errors. And Passeau has an opportunity here to write himself into baseball immortality. He'll have a chance to tie a record, as a matter of fact. Al's looking that up for us. Passeau has been very calm. Now Richards, this is his first time up today. He came in to catch in place of Swift. Steps there, batting right-handed. Swings on the first one, sort of a 3/4 swing, and it's a strike on him. I think Chuck Hostetler, the 40-year-older, is coming up to hit for Al Benton. Seems to be on deck. There's a strike on Richards. He's the first man up in the last of the ninth. That one's pitched low into the dirt, and it bounds away from Thompson Livingston back toward the stands. But it's a ball. 1-1 is the count on Richards. Every pitch counts tremendously here now. This is Custer's last stand for the Tigers. Last of the ninth, and the Cubs are ahead 3-0. Passeau works. Richards swings. There's a high pop-up down the first baseline. Cavaretta is over near the coaching box, is under it, and Cavaretta's got it. And Richards is out, and that's 1 down for Detroit in the last of the ninth. Richards fouling out to the Chicago first baseman. Now here's Chuck Hostetler coming up. Hostetler, you know, was up in the ninth inning of the first ball game. He's a left-handed hitter, an outfielder by trade. When he came up the first time, back in game number 1, as a pinch hitter in the last of the ninth, he was thrown out by Roy Hughes, the shortstop of the Cubs. Let's see what Hostetler, a 40-year-old veteran, can do now. Here's the pitch to the left-handed batter. He fouls it off. That's a strike. I believe that Johnny McHale, the former Notre Dame star, is going to be the next hitter, probably coming up as a pinch hitter for Skeeter Webb. That's what happened in the first game also. 1 strike on Hostetler. Passeau is 5 strikes away now. Hostetler takes, it's a fast called strike. A beautiful delivery by Passeau. Oh, that was magnificent. Hostetler standing there with his eye on that ball. Hostetler comes from Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Lives in the shadow of the old Summit. 2 strikes on him. Claude Passeau, the sturdy guy from Mississippi, is ready. Here it comes. It's just outside. Ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And here, my friends, is baseball drama in the making. Claude Passeau, grand old veteran in his first World Series game. Pitched a 1-hitter up to this point. He's got 1 man out, and he's got 2 strikes on the second batter. Passeau works. Hostetler swings on it. There's a ground ball to the left of the shortstop. Hughes has it, and he throws him out on a brilliant play. And again, it's Hughes who does away with Hostetler in the last half of the ninth, just as he did in game number 1 here 2 days ago. So Hostetler is out, and that's 2 out. And here's big Johnny McHale, who was brought in as a potential outfielder to help fill in the gap left when Dick Wakefield went off to the armed forces this year. McHale, as we've told you, was a baseball and basketball star, but principally baseball at Notre Dame University. He's a tall left-handed hitter. Pitch to him is on the inside. When McHale came up as a pinch hitter here in game number 1, he lifted a high fly to the center fielder, Pafko. McHale, incidentally, is a Detroit boy, so he's playing in his own backyard. Swings on that one, beats it into the ground, foul. That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike on Johnny McHale. 2 out, nobody on, last of the 9th. And McHale is the last hope of Steve O'Neill and the Tigers in this 3rd game. And Passau, who has a beautiful 1-hitter in the fire, is anxious to close it out. Here it comes. McHale swings on it, hits it, foul on the ground down the 3rd base line. 2 strikes. And Passau is 1 strike away from hanging up a shutout over the Tigers. One man has pitched a 1-hit game in 1 series. He was with the Cubs. That was Rulebach back in 1906. 2 strikes is the count now on McHale. Here's the pitch. It's a little too high. Now the count is ball 2 and strike 2. 2 out. Nobody on. Home half of the 9th inning. Chicago with the victory in her grasp. And Passau working hard for it. Now the Tongue Nut Farmer pitches. McHale fouls it off. And the count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Passau, who it was thought might not pitch this year on account of that calcification in his elbow that came from a fracture 15 years ago, is in here in the last half of the 9th in the World Series. McHale swings on one. There's a high foul coming up and back. Back comes the catcher, Mickey Livingston. He's under it. He's got it. The ball game is over. That's all. He fouls out to the catcher. No runs for Detroit in the last half of the 9th inning. And the final score is Chicago 3, Detroit nothing. Chicago 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Detroit no runs, 1 hit, and only 2 errors. Stay tuned now for Bill Corum's colorful summary of today's thrilling baseball game. He's on his way from the press section up behind us, fans, and he'll be here in just a few seconds. In making your contribution to the Community War Fund, folks, put your dollars to work 3 ways. First, through USO clubs and camp shows and the United Seaman Service, your dollars bring recreation and comforts to our servicemen and women, whose morale and well-being must be our concern until every one of them is returned home. Second, through the 19 agencies in the National War Fund, your dollars bring food, clothing, and shelter to millions of war victims in allied countries overseas. Third, your dollars bring health, welfare, recreation, and guidance services to every community here at home. That's what I call getting a lot for your money. So let's all be generous in victory. Give plenty to the Community War Fund. And now here with his eyes sparkling and thrilled by this magnificent game is our old friend, the syndicated sports columnist that everyone knows, Bill Corum. Bill?
Only one story, one man in this ball game today, Bill Slater. That was Claude Passau, the big right-hander from way down yonder in Mississippi, who at 36 years of age came back on this misty gray day in the World Series of 1945 and did a thing that only one pitcher in 43 World Series had ever done before. That was Big Ed Rulebach back in 1906 against the hitless Wonders in that all-Chicago series when he pitched a 1-hitter, but not as good a ball game as this, according to the record. Naturally, I didn't see that one, but Rulebach did give up a run, won his game 7-1, and therefore must have given more than 1 base on balls, which was all Passau gave here this afternoon. Second best pitcher for the Cub team this year, after it was highly doubtful whether he would pitch at all for 2 reasons, because he'd had an operation on his arm and bone calcium there, and also because he was a tung oil farmer and is down in Mississippi, and that's a very important industry down there. I didn't know what it was until I asked the professor here, Bill Slater, but it's some kind of tree with the oil from the roots, I believe, and anyhow, a big industry, and it looked as if he might have to stay on his farm because of defense work, but he came back and scored a great season, had a great season, won 18 ball games, and today made himself a baseball immortal that they'll be talking about as long as these World Series are played, and we hope in America that will be forever, or as long as there is a foreseeable time. The Cubs started moving against Overmeyer in the fourth after Stubb had held them to one single up to that point. Peanuts Lowry, who had got that one hit, opened the fourth with a ringing double off the left field screen. Cavaretta moved him to third with a sacrifice bunt, and then Pafko drew a base on balls. The large Swish Nicholson was walking knee-deep in a field of four-leaf clovers when his little Texas League pop fly dropped among Kramer, Webb, and Greenberg in short left center. Lowry loped home on it. Just the same, it was a run, as big as any run, shot with luck though it was. Pafko pulled up at second, and when Livingston flied to short center, Kramer, both runners having to hold, it looked as though Stubby might be going to get by without further damage. But Roy Hughes got to him for a single to right to score Pafko. With runners on first and second, however, Paso failed to improve his own cause when he went down swinging on strikes for the second straight time. Incidentally, Cullen Bine, the goat of this series so far, hitless, and though he's been one of the stalwarts of the Tigers, not too strong a field, might have had a first-rate chance to throw Pafko out at the plate on Hughes' short single. But for some odd reason, possibly a mental aberration, he didn't even elect to try, carrying the ball almost to the infield after he had made one motion to throw. It was a two-bagger, this one by the hard-swinging Mickey Livingston off the right field screen that started the Little Bears off to their third and final run in the seventh. Hughes sacrificed Mickey to third, and this time Paso came through with a run-scoring fly to center. Kramer's throw being high and having scant chance anyhow. Hack then doubled past third, and Mayo came up with the first error of the series on Johnson's wrap to put runners on first and second. But Lowry left him stranded when he grounded to Benton, who tossed Peanuts out at first. Now, there was one other error in the game, and those are the only two errors that have been in this entire series, both by the Tigers, one by Mayo and the other Skeeter Webb at short on an attempted steal when he got the runner and then dropped the ball. There have been several pitchers in World Series history who pitched two hitters. Monty Pearson, I remember, back there against the Reds in 1939. Old Stubblebeard Burley Grimes against the A's for the Cardinals in 1931. Also, I believe, Wade Hoyt, Mordecai Brown, and Big Moose Earnshaw, and I know Mort Cooper last year against the Browns. But there have been no games that I have seen, and this is my 28th series, 27 of which I've covered, seen every play and every inning of 27 series. The other time I had to pay my way in, and I only saw 2 games, didn't have much money. But since I've been getting in on a pass, I've seen every inning of every World Series game for 27 years, and I've never seen a better performance than this 36-year-old veteran, this big, tall, limber right-hander with a variety of stuff. He's no one kind of pitcher, Paso. A variety pitcher with a fastball when he had to have it on this gray afternoon. A nice breaking curve, up and down, in and out. All the little dinky stuff and slow stuff that had these hard-swinging and normally hard-hitting Tigers hitting them up in the air. A grand performance, the best pitching performance I have ever seen, and I think most of the boys over in the press box, some of whom have seen many more games than I have even, will agree that never before in their time, nobody, I'm sure, goes back to rollback. In their time, nobody has pitched better ball than Claude Paso did this afternoon, and all hail to him and all cheer to the winning team, the Cubs. But the Tigers are not through yet, I'm sure, and when we go down to Chicago, we may see them fighting back as they did all through the American League pennant race. Tomorrow we bring you the 4th game of the 1945 World Series from Wrigley Field in Chicago. Make a note that we'll be on the air at 1:15 Eastern Standard Time, the same as today. Until then, folks, smooth sailing, smooth shaving, and good afternoon from your host, the Gillette Safety Razor Company. Al Helfer, Bill Slater, and your friend Bill Coral. Remember, look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp. Use Gillette Blue Blades with the sharpest edges ever honed.